Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel where I, Ardelle, hope to inspire you to capture the vision of your life. If you are new to my channel, hi, welcome. Please remember to subscribe and to click that gray bell to be notified the moment I upload another video every Wednesday and on the weekends on all things ADHD, mental well-being, and personal development. Today's video is going to be about ADHD and friendships. Last week, in honor of Valentine's Day, I decided to do ADHD and relationships and share with you the fact that I have never been in one. Now, I've never been in a romantic relationship, but obviously I've had many relationships throughout my entire life, whether it be family, business, colleagues, and friendship. I've had a lot of you reach out to me in regards to feeling lonely and not really feeling like you have many friends and or any friends. And that definitely put a damper in my heart and broke my heart. And I just wanted to share with you my take on ADHD and friendships and just my general experience, because I'm not a professional. For the most part, I share with you my experience and the things that I've looked into and what I'm currently going through and what I currently do to try to better my life on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. So as a kid, I didn't really struggle to find or make friends. I never knew I had ADHD as a kid. I don't know if it was just a happy-go-lucky environment. Growing up in LA, I was one of the only white kids in my neighborhood, so I kind of had to just put myself out there and just be willing to roll with the punches. And everybody it was a very beautiful environment. I didn't grow up rich, but growing up as one of the only white kids in my neighborhood, it was a predominantly African-American, Latina, and Asian environment or culture, as you could say, in my elementary school. All of us I feel like I had a really good childhood growing up and a really good experience going to elementary school. All of us just kind of accepted each other for who we were, and we had a lot of fun growing up. And I feel like I don't ever remember feeling lonely or wanting friends or struggling to connect. If anything, I feel like I was always in the thick of it and always having way too much fun, getting into trouble, causing a ruckus, laughing really hard, connecting with people on an intimate level, always having best friends, and always, for the most part, connecting. Yeah, I had those moments where I was aloof and I caught myself, drawing on someone else's binder at one point and they yelled at me and I felt really shy and embarrassed. I remember being very emotional as a kid, but I don't ever remember feeling like the odd one out or struggling to connect or feeling out of place. I feel like that happened twice in my life. I feel like the beginning of me struggling to connect happened a little bit in middle school when I moved from Los Angeles to the Midwest, and it just was kind of hard for me to get back into the swing of connecting with people. We went from a very low income school and just community to a pretty financially stable community, and I was not one of the rich kids in middle school and high school, and that definitely put me in a different category of socioeconomic category. And I feel like that was when I struggled to kind of connect with people, and feeling a little odd or like the odd one out definitely started to shine true. I didn't have a lot of money, didn't really dress really cool, and that was when I started to kind of develop more shy personality traits and kind of stumbling over my words and not really understanding how to defend myself or stand up for myself or represent myself in a way that was true to me. I definitely feel like I was awkward and felt out of body. Then I started going to a church, got really involved in that church, and although I was awkward, I always lucked out at finding really, really amazing friends, and I think the connection for a lot of it was my humor. I found people in my life that really gravitated towards my weird humor, and I gravitated towards their weird humor. And I feel like that kept a lot of my friendships going. And then also the part of me that's really deep. Even as a kid, my dad said that when all of us kids would come home from school, for whatever reason, instead of just running into the kitchen to find out what there is to eat or watching TV, I would throw my backpack off and run upstairs and talk to my dad and ask him about his day and tell him about mine. I was just always wanting to get to know people and wanting to get to know what made people tick. My motive of interacting with people was to just understand people on a deeper level. So I loved humor and I loved deep conversation. Shallow conversations have always been a struggle for me. And that might be why the beginning of my awkwardness came about. Going to that church that I went to in my or in my high school years, I wasn't one of the cool kids and definitely struggled to connect with the people that were more socially with it, the ones that knew what to say at the right time, that didn't fumble over their words, that executed jokes properly at the perfect time. My humor was weird, theirs was like mainstream. So definitely struggled to connect with people at that point. And then I moved back to California to pursue my lucrative career in acting, and that was when I met people that weren't really good for me and didn't have my best interest at heart, and I lost trust in people. And once I lost trust in people, I realized that was when I struggled to interact with people majorly. And prior to then, I think that I always developed friendships in a very codependent way. I always connected people in a way that I could help them. I think I was just overwhelmed with life in general, and I always wanted to have friendships that I could help them. I always became people's sidekicks, and I always became, secondary to my own life, and always would interact with people that I could go with them to go do their laundry or to go grocery shopping or to go run their errands. And I never would focus on my own life. But at the time, I was cool with that, and that was good enough for me. I functioned in a very codependent way. Sometimes I wonder if ADHD and codependency, if there's a connection there. But with that said, moving to California and meeting these wrong people, I think it all started with over-disclosing too much, sharing too much of myself, not knowing when to withhold information, and just being way too much of an open book, way too much, way too soon. And I connected with wrong people that took advantage of me. And with that came the ending of the big-eyed, bushy-tail Ardelle that I used to be. And I'm grateful for those experiences because it taught me a lot about people and it helped me to be wiser, but it also made me kind of go inward. I became majorly introverted. I used to test as an extrovert in a lot of these personality tests, and then for the first time, after just a sequence of just really running into the wrong crowd or running into just the wrong connections and peoples and friends that I would try to make, I made friends that didn't have my best interests at heart, and I started to get really fearful of interacting with people. Now, that is my take on it, and that is where I'm at now currently, looking into ADHD and friendships and connections and why we might struggle with with making friends. A lot of it has to do with just the struggles that go with ADHD, with communication, misspeaking, just over divulging way too much, way too soon, and kind of overwhelming people, crossing people's boundaries, not knowing when to kind of let up, too much too soon kind of idea, and or way too reserved or way too aloof and disinterested and lack of communication in a way that would cultivate a long-term friendship. Like you meet someone super interested in getting to know them or hanging out, and then you pretty much never talk to them again. A lot of times for me, I would ask somebody if they wanted to go to lunch because I would impulsively be like, oh, that's a good idea. I should try to get some new friends at this point in my life. And being 30 and trying to get friends is different than being 20, is different than being in college, is different than high school and middle school and things like that. There's a whole different ball game that goes with trying to make friends just in general in your 30s. People have families, people have careers, people have kids and livelihoods and jobs and things of that nature. But for me, I would get a wild hair up my butt and decide to invite this new person I'd meet out to lunch and try to, befriend people. And then the day would come that I was supposed to hang out with them. And then I'd be like, oh, why did I think that was a good idea at the time? As an adult myself, having a life at home that I need to take care of and errands I need to run and work and interacting with the public, by the time the day comes to a close, the last thing I want to do is continue to use my brain and have to interact with somebody on a social level. The pressure of coming off a certain way and that fear of being judged or ashamed of messing up talking, that like impending fear of like, I don't know if I'm gonna present myself in a way that is acceptable to them, and that fear of future projecting rejection makes you not want to put yourself out there. For the past couple years, I had tried to make friends, and I'm gonna be honest, I feel like it was a lot of failing forward and a lot of interacting with people that weren't really the best for me. And the things that I've come to learn is that first and foremost, I needed to learn to accept myself. And that came with learning that I had ADHD. And as much as I thought that I knew about my ADHD and that I was like, I got this, with interacting with people, I didn't realize how much it really actually affected my interactions with people, especially with like my experience with getting involved in my church environment or my church culture or work and people at my job and trying to interact with people there. I would just come up against this socially awkward, quiet self, and people would perceive me a certain way, and that was the version of myself they would get, and then therefore they would mirror back to me everything that I was putting out in the world, which was shy, I'm awkward, nobody's gonna like me, what if I mess up talking, what if I forget someone's name, what if I talk out of line, what if I fumble over my words, what if I don't come off smart. And that fear of going to Bible studies and trying to make connections, or at work trying to chime into a conversation when there's a bunch of people talking, would just cause me to kind of shut down and be quiet. And the more it was affirmed in people being rude and making fun of me, the more I was like, see, I should pretty much not try to interact with people. People are shady, people don't really care, people are mean, people are manipulative. And that was the kind of mindset I had and what I would project out to the world. Now, I think what you put out there, you get back. And so this is my opinion. I'm still a work in progress when it comes to making friendships and connections, and definitely in your 30s, it's an awkward time. I'm really lucky. I am really close to my oldest sister, who's amazing, and she's my best friend. Does family members count? But then I also have a friend that I've known since I was 15 that is my rock. He's my sounding board, same with my sister, and knowing that I do interact with people properly, and there are really good people out there that would be willing to accept you for all of you, all of your ADHD, all of your misspeaking, and all of your struggles with communicating properly. My best friend, Nathan, love him to pieces. He's just always accepted me for who I was, and definitely on board with my humor. And whenever I'd misspeak or just mess up talking and delete a word without knowing it, I never knew it, but he just kind of would let me go on talking because he knew what I was trying to say, and he didn't have the need to cut me off to kind of make me feel dumb. I'm lucky. I realize I'm one of the lucky people in this world to have found connections that are really deep and really long lasting. Now, with that said, I don't have anybody that lives close to me in my sphere and in my life that I feel that close to. So I'm definitely trying to make friends currently and trying to continue to put myself out there. And one thing I realize is learn to accept yourself for who you are first, and work on yourself and learn to be your own best friend before you expect anybody out there to find any worth or value in you. If you don't value yourself, other people are gonna walk all over you. And I started to learn to appreciate, value, and love my own company. If you have never taken yourself out on a date with yourself, I suggest that you do that. Take yourself out to a movie by yourself. Take yourself to go get your nails done if you're a girl. If you're a guy, go to a shooting range and fire off some bullets, or go to the gym and work out. Go on a hike. Do whatever it takes and get to know yourself and learn to appreciate who you are. When you're alone and you are in the company of yourself, you learn to realize that you are amazing. Journal. Get some time alone. Go on a hike. Go on a walk. Go to the gym. Go take yourself to a movie. If you're a girl, go get yourself a spa day. Go get your nails, a pedicure, manicure done, or go get a massage. That would be like the best thing. I can really stand to use that right now. And love on yourself and learn to enjoy your own company. So when you're around other people, you know where you end and other people begin, and you don't have to be anything other than yourself. With that, obviously, we are made for connection. I think that human beings are made to interact with one another. When you're by yourself for too long, for me personally, it's a little bit of cabin fever, and I start getting stir crazy, and I would like to interact with people. That's when I reach out to my best friend Nathan or my sister, but at the same time, they live far away. My best friend lives in Vietnam. My older sister lives an hour away, and I definitely want to have friendships and connections with people more than just those two people. So for me, I have been learning to accept myself, but then also working on accepting others with where they're at. Everybody's doing the best job that they can with the life that they've been given and the tools and the skills that they have in their perspective. And everybody is, for the most part, focused on themselves. So if somebody says a comment that makes you feel stupid, do your best to move on and let it go. Lately, I've been doing that, and it's been very beautiful to stop and to acknowledge that would have hurt my feelings a year ago. Moments like that where you're just learning to work on yourself, and then you can learn to accept other people with where they're at, and then you kind of see the beauty in differences of people. And then you start to see the beauty in how everybody's wired so differently. I feel like it's a double standard for me to expect the world to learn to accept me for who I am when I can't do the same thing for other people. Not everybody has ADHD. Not everybody has a brain wired like me. So for me to expect them to accept me, I feel like I should learn to strive to accept people for the way they're wired and see the beauty of it and see and appreciate how clever certain people are and how quick-witted and how some people are really good at communicating and getting their point across really well. And after that, after you're starting to interact with people and you find some people that you like, invite somebody out. You're never going to have a friend if you don't put yourself out there. To have a friend, you need to be a friend. Try to be friendly with people and invite them out and accept the fact that some people might reject you. This sounds so harsh, but some people might not be interested in being your friends. And I've definitely come up against that. But because I had been working so hard on self-love and enoughness, the people that are like, yeah, let's hang out, and then we never do, I'm like, well, I tried. Next, just move on. If somebody doesn't really want to be your friend, there are over 7 billion people on this planet. At the end of the day, having ADHD and finding and having friends is possible. Accept yourself with where you're at, accept others for where they're at, and work on yourself and learn to embrace everybody around you and don't have these expectations. My big issue had been trust, and instead of just waiting for everybody to prove me right that everybody's not trustworthy, I took advice from Brene Brown, who's amazing, and she says that there is no way to be courageous without vulnerability, and there's no possible way to open up your heart to another person without being brave enough and being daring enough to share a vulnerable side of yourself. Somebody's going to have to make the first step. With that, if you show a certain side of yourself and that person proves to be trustworthy, she uses the analogy of a marble jar. Start adding marbles metaphorically to someone's marble jar, or literally if you want to, and realize that you're building trust with that person. It's really easy to break that trust. Once the trust is broken one too many times and somebody's marble jar is never filling up, then obviously that's not somebody that you can trust. They might be doing the best that they can, but don't trust them with any more than they can handle. Don't put your hand over the marble jar and completely block them off from interaction, but don't trust them with personal things. With that said, try to invest in people that are worthy of your time and you as a person. Once your value in yourself is growing, once you have value in yourself and you realize that you are enough, and you interact with people on a constant basis and dare to put yourself out there, and you start interacting with people and building trust and connections with certain people, I believe that you will find new friendships. First of all, no great friendship happens overnight. It is a slow marathon, but over time, I do believe that you will find yourself accumulating and cultivating friendships that are worth your time. That is my humble opinion and my humble take on ADHD and friendships. I am not a professional. I'm not loaded with friends right now. If anything, I'm still in a stage where I'm surrounded by what I would like to say is a lot of acquaintances and people that I'm adding marbles to their jar. I have had people that have broken my trust, and also maybe because I've had way too high of an expectation on them. But at the end of the day, I find interaction and connection with people so worth it. So do not seclude yourself to isolation unless you want to work on getting to know yourself. That is when I think that it is best used to isolate. Now, this is my take on ADHD and friendships. Please, if there's anything I forgot, which I probably did, or if there's anything you want to add to the conversation, let me know in the comment section below. I always love hearing from you, and I try to get back to you all as soon as possible. It is getting a little more difficult lately because I've been really busy and putting out multiple videos, but I love hearing from you, and I really appreciate all of your comments and love. With that said, please remember to subscribe to my channel and to click that gray bell to be notified the moment I upload another video every Wednesday and on the weekends. And you must know that you are all in my prayers. And have a good rest of your week. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.